Hi, thanks for watching Sealclops Book Reviews. Today I am going to be reviewing Red Mars, written by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is going to be a bit of a longer review as it was a long book. It had a lot throughout, and it's going to have spoilers, well, potential spoilers throughout as well. So keep that in mind before you proceed any further. Thank you. Red Mars, written by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is the first book in a trilogy called the Red Mars Trilogy. I have both the paperback and the ebook of this, and I very almost got the audiobook as well, but decided against it as just from reading it, there's a few pictures and graphs throughout that you need to read to really fully grasp the story. So enjoy. So the genre and slash tropes of this series or this book is science fiction, space travel, fantasy, future, speculative fiction. That's all I wrote. And pretty much Mars. So it's to do with Mars. How does the book compare with other books in the genre? This is a very large and complex science fiction book about the colonization of the planet Mars. As the first in the trilogy, we're introduced to the characters that have dedicated their lives to uncovering the secrets of the Red Planet. And how does it match up to my expectations of the genre? So although there are many political aspects to this book, which usually isn't my cup of tea, this book is written in a way that each time I pick it up, everything else just fades away. With science, space travel, politics, and twists throughout, this is a fantastic first book in a science fiction trilogy. A summary. For eons, sandstorms have swept the desolate landscape. For centuries, Mars has beckoned humans to conquer its hostile climate. Now, in 2026, a group of 100 colonists is about to fulfill that destiny. John Boone, Maya blah blah. I cannot say her last name. Toytavna, Frank Chalmers, and Arkady Bogdanov lead a terraforming mission. For some, Mars will become a passion driving them to daring acts of courage and madness. For others, it offers an opportunity to strip the planet of its riches. For the genetic alchemists, it presents a chance to create a biomedical miracle, a breakthrough that could change all we know about life and death. The colonists orbit giant satellite mirrors to reflect light to the surface. Black dust sprinkled on the polar caps will capture warmth. Massive tunnels, kilometers deep, will be drilled into the mantle to create stupendous vents of hot gases. Against this backdrop of epic upheaval, rivalries, love, and friendships will form and fall to pieces, for there are those who will fight to the death to prevent Mars from ever being changed. The analysis, plot, and theme. So this amazing book is separated into 8 parts and takes place between 2026 and 2061. So it's quite large. It is very broad. It goes over quite a few years, and I started off writing a little bit about each part, and then towards the end I'm like, it's giving too much away, so you'll see that I don't go into as much detail, so I don't want to spoil as much. But just from seeing the cover and the blurb of this book, I wasn't expecting how great it was. So I wanted to really get that across to share how good it is and that it's worth giving a go. So part 1 begins 26 years after the first 100 arrived on Mars in 2026. The population of this one city now sits at 5,000 individuals from all around the world. Many of the first are no longer happy with how the settlement has developed. After speeches were made about a great new future, a person is found dead in the middle of the festivities. In part 2, we join the Select 100 as they journey through the stars on their 9-month voyage to their new home. But wait, is that a new face on board, or a trick of the mind caused by cabin fever? Part 3, show the first effects to colonize Mars. For the first half Martian year, translated to roughly 1 year Earth time, we witness events from the point of view of Nadia, a Swedish engineer whose primary focus is building the living quarters along with other permanent structures. Fights begin to break out among the colonists as they decide where their loyalties lie. The decision to terraform is taken out of their hands as a select few work to distribute genetically modified organisms across the planet's surface in secret. Lucky for them, the Earth crew approve the idea before they get caught. In the short fourth part, we witness the planet's only shrink, Michael, as he tries to hide his gradual loss of reality. As the only Frenchman on Mars, he already has a disconnect with those around him. But as he begins to lose time and comes to in different areas, he must admit that he is no longer fit to help others. When a dark-faced stowaway summons him from his room with young children that shouldn't exist to take part in a strange ritual, he finds his escape from Underhill and the colony. 10 years later, sabotage attempts are becoming increasingly frequent. John works to visit all of the affected sites, attempting to work out who is willing to risk lives to reduce production. All the while, a team of detectives have arrived on Mars who seem to have a vendetta for those who don't follow the new rules. Another mystery is who is the famous coyote said to be the stowaway, and who are all the young people that traverse around the planet with him. Someone had to give birth to them. As all the first 100 are in their 70s or above, the new genetic cure that extends lifespans indefinitely and heals broken and sick DNA sequences is not only developed, but circulates through the first colonists. An amazing piece of science, isn't it? Part 6 picks up after the events of the introduction in Part 1. We're once again seeing the world through the eyes of Frank. A new treaty is finally put in place in the hopes of protecting Mars from going the way of the Earth. So the way of destruction and war and chaos and all of that. The last two parts act as the culmination of the book. They are filled with action, suspense, death, and planet devastation as the people on Earth wage war with the Martians in order to control their investment. Pacing, emotion, ending, and plot holes. Although this book is on the longer side than others I've been reading lately, I felt like time flew by whenever I picked it up. The story involved heavy scientific aspects, political debates, and world-changing war and climate issues. Although these issues may seem dry or uninteresting, that is the furthest thing from the truth. I love that each part was told by a different character's point of view. The overall story is about the first 100 colonists that settled on Mars. With the different viewpoints, we are able to get a better understanding of what was going on from different angles. For instance, John and Frank have extremely different views on how Mars should be used. Having sections in both of their viewpoints allowed you to understand their deepest thoughts. It was really well written. The recommendation. So if you're in the mood for a heavy science fiction story that makes you think and absorbs you into the world, definitely try one of Kim Stanley Robinson's books. The blurb almost threw me off, making the book seem like a boring political drag. I'm glad to say that I was wrong. I'm very happy that I gave this book a go and look forward to reading the remaining 2 books in the trilogy to see how the next generation survive on Mars. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, so it was really good. I'm struggling to put it into words without giving too much away, but it was really good. So an amazing science fiction novel set in the not too distant future. Earth has become overcrowded and barren. Mars is the only chance at survival. There you have it. It wasn't as long as I thought it would be. That is my review on Red Mars, written by Kim Stanley Robinson. If you haven't heard of this one, it is definitely a good science fiction book to dive into. It's, like I said, is the first in the trilogy. The next books being Green Mars and Blue Mars. They jump forward in time and they cover a big expanse and they're quite large as well. The next book, which I've just started, Green Mars, takes place quite soon after the events of Red Mars finishes. It still has some of the original 100, but it shows the next generation, the kids as well. And then from my understanding, without going too deep and spoiling the book for myself, Blue Mars is another 50 or so years in the future with that next generation having grown up. And the Mars has changed over time as well. So it's, really interesting to see how it works and how it expands and how it all comes together, really. But yes, definitely one to give a go. The first chapter or 2 can be a bit confusing as it starts in the future and then it goes back to the past to explain it. So stick with it. I am looking forward to seeing what other people have to say. Thank you. Bye.